Hello everybody, I'm Mr. and today I'm back with a brand new video. Today we are counting down my favourite doctors, or actors who played the Doctor, or in general. There's 13 of them to count on my list. I'm not going to be adding any of the extra ones. It is practically 1 to 12, and including the War Doctor as well. So I'm going to just go through, rattle off a list from worst to best. I'm not going to number them because that will just get confusing. I'm just going to say my order of worst to best. So the first one, which is my least favourite, we'll just go straight into it because we've not really got that much time. So let's just go straight into it. My least favourite, similar to everyone's, and I'm not generic in this at all. In fact, I've got very much my own opinion. A lot of people have put certain doctors higher than I have. I've put them lower than other people have, you know, similar sort of things. They're very different. But one thing we all can agree on is that Colin Baker's 6th Doctor is probably one of the worst. And in my list, yes, Colin Baker, the 6th Doctor, in my opinion, is the worst Doctor. I know the Doctor has this sort of alien-esque character. In some incarnations he's got that more than others. Matt Smith is very alien, but he's charming, he's nice. Peter Capaldi, he's rude, but he's charming. Colin Baker's is just a knob. He just is. His character is based off insulting and just dry sarcasm. I get it comes off well in some cases, and don't get me wrong, I think in some aspects, in some episodes and some specials and whatever, especially in Big Finish, he's a great Doctor. He's a brilliant Doctor. But I feel like from his debut in the show, his first line was, "Change, my dear, not a moment too soon." But he does it so... I'm not even going to try to do the accent. I mean, I could try, but I might have to cut it out if it's terrible. "Change, my dear, not a moment too soon." See, it's like that. It's just... He just sounds uptight and posh, and just... He doesn't really care about the companion and what they're thinking, you know? And I understand they act rationally. Irrationally when they first regenerate, as shown by the 5th Doctor, the 4th Doctor, 10th Doctor, when he freshly regenerated, he went mental. The 11th Doctor tried to eat everything in his kitchen. You know what I mean? There's a lot of different variants, but the 6th Doctor was like that the whole time. I think on his first episode, didn't he try and, like... I think I'm pretty sure he chokeslammed one of his companions, didn't he? He just sort of, like, strangled her and pushed her to the ground. Either way, I don't like his Doctor. I don't like him as a person very much. But, I mean, he's been good in some places, but most of the time he's just not very good. After the 6th Doctor, now, a lot of people really don't agree with me on this one. I like to think that that's just sort of the definitive way to go by, but I really don't like the 5th Doctor either. Now, the 5th Doctor's great. The 5th Doctor is good. He's a good Doctor. He's just... He's good, but he's not quite Carling. He's got that charm. He's got that, you know, that look, that feel, and he's got that energy. And he was the youngest Doctor at the time, obviously replaced by the in the revived series by Matt Smith being the youngest man to be cast as the Doctor, a man or woman ever to be cast as the Doctor. And I feel like the 5th Doctor was good, but it's hard to follow such an amazing performance from Tom Baker, and that's really hard. That's difficult. It's really difficult. And the thing is with that is, you're trying to follow on from something that's been cultural and the definitive Doctor. Again, changing it up a little bit, being energetic, being a little bit funny, but he wasn't funny the same way Tom Baker was, and I think in some aspects that didn't come across as well. He's had a lot better episodes and a lot more continuous better episodes than Colin Baker ever had, but to me, I don't know, he just is one of them background ones that makes us go, meh. What is it now? 11th place is the 7th Doctor. Now, I like the 7th Doctor. I think he's quite funny. I think he's quite entertaining to watch. But majority of the time, a lot of his episodes were really poorly written. They had barely any production value when they were doing the episodes. I feel like if he'd had a spot when the show was in its prime, he would have been a brilliant Doctor. but it wasn't, because of the bad writing, the bad production value, and just the sort of lackluster stories that they sort of pumped out around that era. It was very cheesy, and if you want to see cheesy and how cheesy sort of represented as, there's a talent show thing where he does some magic, and it's just weird. It's just weird, and it's just like, what is this? This isn't Doctor Who. What's happening here? And I'm sure it makes sense in context, but no, I just don't like him all that much. I think he's a lovely fella. He's very funny, and I'd love to see him return alongside a future Doctor. I think that'd be quite amusing to see. But as his own character back in the day, at the time of him doing it, he wasn't very good. In 10th place, we have the Second Doctor. Now, the Second Doctor I really like. I'm going to say that with everyone. I like a lot of them, obviously. But I like the next few more. The Second Doctor was good. He was a great contrast from William Hartnell's First Doctor, the, you know, looking down upon everyone, sort of grumpy old man. Patrick Troughton was lightning, and he was sort of a fire towards the crispy, dark sort of William Hartnell. He was a bouncy fella. He was, you know, he jumped around a little bit more. Matt Smith took a lot of inspiration from him, and I feel like that's certainly something you can look at in the way. The bow tie, the flute, the characteristics, completely different to that of the First Doctor. They could have kept an actor the same, but they completely changed it. And my God, did it work. You need to be thinking, if Patrick Troughton's Doctor didn't succeed, the show wouldn't exist today. The idea of regeneration wouldn't have worked, and the show would have been scrapped. Simple as. In, is it 9th place now? I can't remember. 9th place, we have the Third Doctor. Now, the third and second could be flipped either way. I like both of them. But for the Third Doctor, I don't know. He came off very, very well to me. He was obviously the first Doctor to meet Sarah Jane Smith, who was probably one of the best companions of all time. You know, take it or leave it. I love his performance as the Doctor. The, you know, sort of Venusian Aikido that he uses, which is sort of the martial arts thing, is great. I love that. I love his style and his compassion for companions and all that sort of thing. It's the Unit era, the era where Unit was introduced, and I think it was, again, one of them decisions that could have made or make or break Doctor Who, which is coming up very soon. There's another one. It could break in it, or it could make. But this was definitely one of them decisions, again, and it worked. Keep the Doctor stranded on Earth, and have some Earth-centered stories. Bring in the Master. His era was brilliant for that, and that's what I have respect for. A lot of modern era takes inspiration from the Pertwee era, so look back on that how you will. In 8th place, I believe, right, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. 8th place, I have the War Doctor. Now, the War Doctor, played by the late, great Sir John Hurt, was brilliant. I love him. He's so peaceful, yet anger. There's so much of it. And I feel like his character's amazing. He is always so intense. He's intense a lot of the time, but he's comedic. He's a little bit light-hearted, you know? In Day of the Doctor, which is the only proper episode we've seen him in, if you exclude Night of the Doctor, but I really like John Hurt. I really like his character. I wish we could have seen more of him before he passed. And that's the thing, you can't really help that. He never had a full series, he never had more than Day of the Doctor, really, apart from the Big Finish audios, which I've heard are very good. His character's brilliant, full of war, anger, yet light-hearted. And it works so well for the character of the Doctor, and I think he fits in perfectly. Again, one of them decisions in Doctor Who where Moffat stuck another Doctor in, could have been cheesy, could have been crap, but instead he felt like the Doctor, and we all know and love him from the hour and a half that he had on screen. Oh, the First Doctor is in number 7, I believe 7. 7. The First Doctor is in at number 7, mainly because I just love him. He's the original, the definitive. You know, I could have went the Dr. Falls direction there. He's the original, you might say, and he is the original. The show, again, wouldn't have succeeded if it weren't for William Hartnell. And, obviously, it's hard to judge, because I'm judging the Doctor, not the actor behind him. But the actor behind him, William Hartnell, is a brilliant actor. Was a brilliant actor before his passing. But, excellent. Absolutely, astonishingly brilliant. But he was just so different. yet his episodes are so watchable now because they're so different. He brought this intense alien that no one knew much about. You know, never really went into the extended stuff about Gallifrey. He was the only Time Lord we'd ever met. There was barely anything said about that. But it was all about adventures. Educational adventures through space and time. You're looking at it from a TV point of view. Brilliant, classic episodes. And they will always go down in history as some of the episodes that should be watched, should be held. I'm going to be buying An Unearthly Child soon to have, because it is the definitive episode of Doctor Who. It's how it started, and he is the man behind the character. Truly. In place number 6, I have the Ninth Doctor, and I know what you're thinking, like, oh my god, what? Like, you like every other Doctor that I haven't mentioned more than the Ninth Doctor? This is my list, this is my opinion. If you're going to get peed off about my opinion, then go somewhere else. Don't bother. I'd love to see your opinion of what your favourite Doctors are, but don't judge mine for having one. The Ninth Doctor is at my 6th place, mainly because I feel like he should have been in it more. Partially my hatred towards the actor Christopher Eccleston. I don't like him at all. I think the interviews he's been in, the topic of Doctor Who, the way he tries to avoid it, makes us think you shouldn't have been in the show at all, you know? It's a privilege and an honour, really, to be playing this character that's been going on now for over 50 years. It's a cultural icon. And he's just like, oh, it's just another TV show, can't be bothered to go back to that, don't want to be typecast. There's so much rumours behind it why he left, and there's never been a real confirmed source. All that can be said is that the fact that he couldn't show up for just a regeneration scene in Day of the Doctor just proves him. You probably could argue that he wasn't asked. He was asked to be in Day of the Doctor but refused. And obviously that's his choice at all, but I don't like the actor at all very much. I think he's a brilliant actor, but I don't think he really looks the same way we do, and I think that's a shame, really. But either way, his character as the Doctor was brilliant. I loved him. I think he's just so sweet and amazing, and his relationship with Rose was so solidified just from the first episode. His character, you could feel, and now knowing the lore of the Time War, and then going back and watching it, saying this takes place after he thinks he blew up Gallifrey, you can see that in his eyes. Before that was even canon, it was there, in the character, it was inflamed. However Russell T Davies told him to act that role, he did it exactly how we needed to see it, and that is really what brought the Doctor. He's got one of these faces, and he's got one of them roles, again, that brought the Doctor into the 21st century. He is the face behind the new Who, the new Doctor Who. He is the William Hartnell of this major era, if you know what I mean. He sort of brung it into a new generation, and for me, he's not my Doctor, because I started with David Tennant. Well, I didn't. I started from series 1 and 2, but by the time I was watching it on TV, it was David Tennant. But either way, I love him, and I think he is great. It's a shame, I think, my views of the actor himself have probably put the character down a little bit, but I feel like the character's brilliant, and he definitely deserves a top spot on this list, and I think the next 5 are going to be really hard to decide between, in general. But it's not going to stop me from trying, because number 5, and hear me out before you go into the comments screaming, is the 4th Doctor, Tom Baker. Now, I love Tom Baker, but I was never a major fan of the classic series very much. I appreciate it, and I love it, and there are a few episodes I can watch that I go, oh, that's brilliant, and really understand it. And I love Tom Baker, but you need to consider, I've grown up with modern Who. That's been my childhood nostalgia, is David Tennant playing the Doctor. Now, if you think about it that way, it's different. Whereas if you were born in the 80s and you're sort of older now, then you'll probably be thinking your nostalgia is Tom Baker, and that's great for you if you love that. But for me personally, I think he's amazing. I think he's brilliant at playing the Doctor, but I think he just sits nicely at 5, opposed to 2 or 1. I like him here, and I'm happy with him here, and I think that's great because he's the highest classic Doctor on our list. Yeah. He's the highest classic Doctor on our list. I really like him. I think his performance is brilliant, and I think he definitely deserves to be up there. He's praised. He's a cultural icon. He played the Doctor for the longest, and he obviously looks that. I mean, every episode that he's in, he gives off this sort of aroma of how amazing and talented he is as an actor. But he's mad as a box of frogs. I love that. From his first episode, his regeneration story, he's just so mad. yet charming, and sometimes that's really clever, and the way he performs that is just amazing. He came out for the 50th anniversary and really brought the whole thing sort of full circle in a way, as the curator, Tom Baker. But that's where I'm putting him. I love him, he's great. 5th spot. And my 4th spot, you'll probably be quite surprised with why this Doctor's so high up, and I'll explain. The 8th Doctor is at number 4, mainly because, and surprisingly enough, I really didn't like the 1995 movie, or 1996, I can't remember which year it came out. I don't like it very much, mainly because it's so Americanised the way it's written and performed, and it was obviously a pilot for a different TV series that we never got to see. It's hard to judge that Doctor. But then he got brought back in Night of the Doctor, the prequel, the 10-minute prequel to Day of the Doctor, where we saw the 8th Doctor. And this man had never been the Doctor properly. He'd been in this one-off and never seen or heard from again in the world of Doctor Who. And suddenly he appears here, and he just is the Doctor. And I look at him and go, oh wow, that's amazing. Like the second he appeared on screen, you know, I'm the Doctor, but probably not the one you're expecting. And that really brings you in and you're like, wow, this guy's the Doctor. Here's a tip, BBC. Stop making terrible spin-offs like Class. Make a spin-off series with the 8th Doctor. Please. Because that would be really good. And I can tell Paul McGann might be up for it as well. The fact that he showed up for Night of the Doctor, even for a little 10-minute mini-sode. He obviously is still connected to the character, especially how he keeps showing up in Big Finish left, right and centre. He deserves to have his own series. He really has shown that, and I feel like he is a brilliant Doctor. And if we got to see more of him, we would understand how good he is. And I think, I don't like his cheesy sort of 90s role that he had with the long hair and the sort of the romance and love and everything. But as a dark Doctor, a dark lead up to the Time War Doctor, yet still peaceful, I don't count him as a classic Doctor, mainly because his role in the Night of the Doctor was so modern. It was scary to see, like, how he actually hasn't been the Doctor for years. He's brilliant, and I love to see more of him. He looks almost like he did years ago, so why not bring him on while he still looks as young as he did in the 90s? He's brilliant, and he's just amazing, and I think I just want to see more of him. I just really want to see more of him. Now we're running on for time here, but the last 3 I really couldn't decide between. So take this how you will, I'll justify my points. And you obviously know the 3 that are left are the 11th, 10th and 12th Doctor. But what order? And I'm going to start with 3rd. 3rd place is the 12th Doctor. Now I love the 12th Doctor so much, and it was really hard to decide between the top 3. They could have been in any order and I would have been happy. I love the 12th Doctor so much, because he's had that backlash of he's too old, his script writing's terrible, but I feel like in this most recent series, Series 10, he's really shown he's the Doctor, and he always should be, because he's just so brilliant. He's sort of ageing rocker, yet charming lecturer. He's perfect at that role, and I just love him for it. He's excellent, and it's a shame we're losing him at Christmas. I feel like after Series 8 and 9 I was like, oh, I'm happy he's going, but after Series 10 I'm like, please don't. I really like your character now. I wasn't keen on Series 9, I wasn't so keen on Series 8 either, but Series 10 was probably one of the best ones I've had, and he is a brilliant version of the Doctor, and I hope he always gets looked back on as one of them classic looking Doctors, you know? Like one that you look back and go, that's the Doctor, a bit like Tom Baker. The only problem is Capaldi doesn't really have a great costume, hence the fact the sort of general sort of stuff. Maybe the sunglasses, maybe they'll go in. In 2nd place, I have the 10th Doctor. Again, it could have been either way, this top 3. I really like the 10th Doctor though, mainly because of my childhood nostalgia. I feel like, obviously, you know Matt Smith's first now, but I love David Tennant as an actor, but I love the 10th Doctor as a character as well. 10th Doctor's charming and brilliant and just amazing overall, yet towards the end very dark, very brooding. I would have loved to have seen a full series where he's that dark and that sort of, the Time Lord victorious. I loved that. His anger and hatred and just fury coming through there was brilliant. Every scene he was funny in, he was funny, he was hilarious, he was laugh out loud brilliant, and every scene he was being serious, he was deadly serious, and he was dramatic, and it was brilliant. I personally loved it, and I think you should too. It was just excellently done. another aspect of why I love David Tennant's Doctor so much. I think David Tennant is a better actor than Matt Smith. I feel like David Tennant was a brilliant version of the Doctor. He played the Doctor so well. He played the Doctor one of the ways how it really should be played. But he's one of them actors, similar to Peter Capaldi, where he can play multiple different roles and he'll be a different character in each. He won't feel like the same character. He played Alec Hardy in Broadchurch and he was completely different to the 10th Doctor. It's like watching two different people play the roles. It's like, wow, he's amazing and he's a brilliant actor. There's just two examples. Peter Capaldi, you've got the thick of it. He's got plays Malcolm Tucker and obviously Doctor Who plays the Doctor. Two completely different characters, not just language-wise. And yeah, I love both of them so much. Yet it doesn't feel like the same person at all because they look a little bit different, but feel so different as well. Whereas the first Spot, he may not be that good of an actor in terms of film-wise. I feel like he's playing the Doctor as well in everything he does. But that's just his voice. I can't help it. Matt Smith, I feel, was born to play the Doctor. His charm, his alienness, his general sort of slapstick, jump around, bow tie, hands waving sort of atmosphere is brilliant. I love Matt Smith's Doctor. I think he's brilliant, and I think he probably is the best Doctor to date, and that's why he's at the top of my list, obviously. Stupid me. I think he's brilliant. I think he should be respected by everyone as one of the best out there, and accepted, because I feel like he is one of the best out there. That doesn't mean I want to see him back. The stupid rumour about him coming back to play the role of the 13th Doctor was a load of rubbish, because I don't want to see that. Why would anyone want to see that? He's played his role, he's been the Doctor, he doesn't need to be the Doctor again. But when he did play the Doctor, series 5, 6 and 7, absolutely excellent, perfectly performed all the way through. I loved all three of these series, and you need to think that I was 9 when he started doing the Doctor, and I was 12 when he finished. That was sort of my main sort of viewing point, and I love the series through that. Series 6 I have the most fond memories of. Whether it be the best series or not, I don't know, but looking back, it's like, wow, I really, you know, I remember that so well. I remember it so vividly, the way it just plays in my memory. You know, that was my main fanboyish little era when I was 10. So take that how you will. That's my list. 22 minutes, Jesus, right. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I feel like all the Doctors are good, to an extent. They all play the role individually, but this is my personal list. If you disagree, tell me your list in the comments. But don't kick off because I didn't put, like, the second Doctor 4th, because you think the second Doctor's better. Again, this is my opinion. I never said he's a bad Doctor. I'm not really that keen on some of them. And that's the same with all of them. If I put them somewhere on a list that you don't like, it doesn't matter. It's your opinion. And I respect your opinion. So please tell me in the comments what your list is, and try not to criticise my opinion. Thanks so much. On that horrible little note, I'll go from worst to best again, just to solidify that list. It's the 6th Doctor, the 5th Doctor, 7th, 2nd, 3rd, War, 1st, 9th, 4th, 8th, 12th, 10th and 11th in 1st. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like, comment below for any more Doctor Who sort of suggestions in the future. Subscribe if you haven't already. Please check out the store, follow me on Twitter. That's pretty much it. Thank you all so much for watching. See you all next time. Bye.